Let me see where I could set you guys up. I just came back from lunch, so I have like some coughs, but it is what it is. Pancakes and grits. Basically, what brings us here today is that I just finished Atomic Habits like 2 days ago, and so I basically wanted to make this video just reviewing the most important parts from the book, because upon buying this book I was very intimidated by it and I didn't want to read it, because from like other YouTube videos they were saying how there was exercises in this book that made it, you know, you basically had to do the work in order to see the results that it was talking about, and for that reason I didn't want to buy it because I didn't want to do the work. Got overwhelmed with the thought of being overwhelmed until I finally got it, and then I finished it. I actually really enjoyed it and it was eye-opening. It made a lot of points in this book that I wanted to review, because I would have wanted to see a YouTube video just saying like the most important review points, and then that would have probably encouraged me to buy the book, kind of get like the feel of it. That's what this YouTube video is going to be about. I also have one of these, so that's also fun. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about, so basically in the book there's this theory that it talks about how habits equal compound interest, and the way that it goes is that habits, you don't see the result of it in the short term, you always see the result of it in the long run. It's obvious, but it's something that we overlook, and that's something that makes the decisions that you make easier to make, even though they're not good for you. If you keep steady with good or bad habits, you know, over a year you'll see those results, not probably in 5 days. That was the first thing. The second thing was the way that it gave their examples were on charts or on on graphs, how habits look like in the long run. So there's this part in the book that shows you like this graph, and in this graph it's supposed to show you how and why people go through with their habits or why they fall off. We think that we're going to improve linearly, but what happens is we don't improve linearly, we improve in a curve. How there's such thing as the valley of disappointment, what you think should happen, what actually happens, comparing between results and time, and why people don't go through with their habits. Another thing that this book talks about is forgetting about goals and focusing more on systems. I thought this was really helpful. This was one of the things that I thought was really helpful, besides like all the other things that I want to talk about, was that a goal, the way that it describes it in the book, is something that you should figure out, recognize, and then put it on a shelf. Check in like every 1 or 2 months how you're gonna get there. Like, what type of person do you have to be in order to achieve that goal, rather than only thinking about, okay, I need to make $10,000 this month. That's the goal, but you're not gonna get to that goal without becoming the person that you need to be in order to get that $10,000. And it also says sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes people do accomplish their goals, but a lot of the times once they accomplish them, they fall off into old habits to where they're not gonna make $10,000 again the second month, because it was just a one-time thing, and it was just until then, but it wasn't until after. It's not so much about get $10,000, it's so much to become a person who makes X amount of dollars a day. Number 3 kind of leads into number 4. So if you're going to become the type of person that makes $10,000 a month, then you need to have a new identity. And so in the book it talks about creating a new identity for yourself and affirmations to tell yourself. They use an example of like, if you want to start running again, well, instead of saying, you know, I want to get back into shape, I want to start running again, then you would say, I am a runner. It has to do with like, because you say something that maybe right now you don't align with because there's no proof, then you subconsciously, I guess, make that shift in your everyday like little actions, to where if you say, okay, I am a runner, then you subconsciously start acting like you're a runner. So you'll probably put your shoes like in front of the household, probably not go for that hamburger, you'd probably go for the salad, because that's what you recognize runners are. They share that characteristic, you know, they're healthy eaters, they don't, you know, go have junk food or whatever. It was also explained in the book that it has to do with like lying to yourself. I guess as humans, we don't like to lie to ourselves, and we like to also have proof what we're saying to ourselves. So if you say every day, I am a runner, then you're going to want proof to hold yourself accountable that yes, like I am a runner, because I wake up every day at 6 a.m. to go for a run or to go for a walk, even if it's just 5 minutes. Okay, and then the next thing that I'm going to talk about are the laws of what? What did it say? So the next thing that I'm going to talk about are the laws that it mentions in the book, and if you follow these 4 laws, then you're more inclined to build a good habit and to break a habit if you just invert them. So the first one that it talks about is making it obvious. If you want to start playing your guitar, it doesn't make sense for you to keep it tucked under your bed. You would have it out, right? You would have it out in the open to where, you know, it's obvious that it's out, that it's obvious that, you know, you want to start that habit. Second law is to make it attractive. Say I have like a whole little section, it's standing right here, and then to make it attractive I put like, I don't know, like posters around it, or I get like a guitar stand so that it can be propped up right here. You know, this is like guitar playing section area mode. You know that if you're gonna start playing it, okay, you have somewhere to sit. Third one is make it easy. Upon starting a new habit, it says that you don't want to make it difficult. If you're gonna start practicing the guitar and you notice like, oh, like I can't even practice for 5 minutes, I could probably practice for 2 minutes, like tops, you would practice for 1 minute. It's making yourself the type of person that picks up your guitar every day for a minute and playing it rather than not picking it up at all. The fourth one is to make it satisfying. The way that the book says that you can make a habit satisfying is if you're able to have yourself feel successful along the way. If you can make a guitar session, some point in the guitar session, a way to feel successful in those 2 to 5 minutes, then it's considered satisfying and you're going to most likely crave it. Have a positive prediction about lifting up your guitar, and you're most likely going to continue the habit of picking up your guitar every day at 6, because once you feel like you are being successful, once you feel like you are progressing, then you feel like it's not a waste of time. Those are like the 4 laws in the book, and those are like pretty much like that's pretty much like the whole book. And then it tells you like stories about families, about environment, about bicycle teams. They use those stories as examples to show you how those 4 laws were shown to work. What's next to talk about? After the 4 laws in the book, they get into advanced tactics. The section in the book where it talks about when luck is helpful. People who are their most successful in their craft are not only well suited, but they're well trained. And then an example that he used in the book was Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps has like the ideal body for an Olympian swimmer. He holds like the most gold medals in like across all sports. He was probably born in the right family. He has the ideal body, which makes him like beat all the other swimmers, but not the swimmers. But not only that, but he is also well trained. It talks about how if you want to find the right career for yourself, then you would have to be aware of your personality and what you like to do and what feels like work and what doesn't feel like work. One of the advanced tactics is just knowing when luck is applied, being well trained is applied, and how they work cohesively. So you can't just say a person's success is just based off of luck. You can't say that until you've trained as hard as them. Then it basically says like anybody who's at the top, like they're well suited and they're well trained. One of the other things that the book talks about is something called the Goldilocks Rule. And the Goldilocks Rule is when you're able to achieve a flow state because you feel 50% failure and 50% success. The way that the human brain works is that we always like to have a challenge. You're failing 50%, you're succeeding. So it's like a balance. And because it's a balance, you want to keep on working. So a flow state is the experience of being in the zone and fully immersed in an activity. Scientists have tried to quantify this feeling. Found that to achieve a state of flow, a task must be roughly 4% beyond your current ability. In real life, it's typically not feasible to quantify the difficulty of an action in this way, but the core idea of the Goldilocks Rule remains: working on challenges of just manageable difficulty, something on the perimeter of your ability, seems crucial for maintaining motivation. Improvement requires a delicate balance. You need to regularly search for challenges that push you to your edge while continuing to make enough progress to stay motivated. Behaviors need to remain novel in order for them to stay attractive and satisfying. Without variety, we get bored, and boredom is perhaps the greatest villain on the quest for self-improvement. Okay, and then another thing that it talked about, we're already like at the end of this. Another thing that I want to mention that was pretty interesting was how good habits can be bad. You have to always make sure that you're self-aware and that you're improving. So you can get in the habit of being wrong, get in the habit of not improving. You can be doing the same mediocre work every day of your habits and not be improving. Getting in the habit of running. You do get in the habit of putting on your shoes and putting on workout clothes, but you don't run for as long as you would need to for you to be trained for the 5-mile run at the end of the month. That every day you do exactly 10 minutes. Well, if every day you do exactly 10 minutes and you're not getting better, then for that 5-10 mile run at the end of the month, you're not going to be as suited as you think you are. Using your habits to create more advanced habits, to be able to create more advanced habits so that you can get to your destination, get to your goal. Just always making sure that you're improving yourself and that you don't stay flatlined with one habit that you've mastered. And that's basically it. That's pretty much like all the review points that I wanted to talk about in this video. For the last thing, I typed in a quote from the book on my computer that I thought pretty much summed up the book and got a good grasp of like what it's about. It goes, mastery is the process of narrowing your focus to a tiny element of success, repeating it until you have internalized the skill, and then using this new habit as the foundation to advance to the next frontier of your development. So that's basically what I was trying to say when I was saying like you have to make sure that you're being self-aware, that way you go into like the next habit that's gonna help you work towards your goal. With all that being said though, I hope this video was useful. I hope you got something from this video. I'm glad that I got the book. Originally I just didn't want to do the work, but I think once you know that these tactics that it shares, not only are they helpful, but they have proof that they are helpful, it's more encouraging to want to help you build better habits and help you break your habits. Without further ado, that's the end of this video, and yeah, see you guys in the next one. I hate doing outros so much because I don't like how they look when I edit them.